So just an update from me, I guess. We finished well, this is what's going on, you know. Today is October the 19th, 2017. We finally finished the paperwork for the claim. Our home was broken into. So we finally finished the paperwork and sent it off today. I tell you one thing, it's hard. It's hard going through something like this for a lot of reasons. You know, your home was broken into, someone took all your stuff, you feel violated, all of the above. But also the fact that you haven't approved to the insurance company that you own that stuff. And that's frustrating. I mean, because of what somebody did to us, I got to prove that those items were indeed mine. That's the frustrating part. So we had to go back to, because if you don't have receipts and you got to prove with pictures, anything that you can with the item in the background. So of course we're going through a lot of pictures trying to show those items, show that we, you know, own those items, you know. And you know, we're going way back in emails, and you know, some emails from way back when we don't have any more email accounts, we don't have any more that we probably sent receipts to for some items. And then, you know, we were trying to also have, you know, past and present, well, not present, but you know, present, yeah, up to date pictures as well of the items. We just wanted to be as thorough as we could. The sad part about that is, you know, I was able to back up some of the items from the camera when we had it up into July. So everything after July, you know, I didn't have backed up. So I couldn't provide a lot of up-to-date stuff. So I did explain that to them. So that was frustrating, because then you're remembering, like, well, you're trying to remember what in the world, you know, did we take pictures of in, you know, the rest of July, August, September, you know. But it's okay. I am grateful that we are alive, because the situation could have been totally different. But I am still praying for justice. Like I'm praying for justice every day. And you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, well, you got insurance, so you know, y'all will be okay. I know we'll be okay. I know God has us in this situation. You know, that's no doubt. There's no doubt in my faith. But what I'm praying for and I'm believing for until God tells me to leave it alone is I'm praying that justice is served. Like, I'm praying that we find out who did this to us, because I just want to know. Like, I really, really have to know. I mean, we've only been in the neighborhood for 6 months. We don't know a lot of people over there. You know, our kids don't even go to school over there. They don't have friends, you know. And it's just like you're just puzzled trying to figure out who would do this to you. You know, so working with the detectives and stuff, I don't know if I said it last time, but that's been just kind of difficult. And, you know, I'm willing to help in any way that I can, because I want this more than anybody. John and I want to know who did this to us more than anybody. And I understand they have a lot of other cases that they have to work on, a lot of other, you know, like higher crimes like death and, you know, shootings and all that kind of stuff. Like, I get that. But if you're going to be assigned to the case, and I feel like they should have, and I don't know, they should have people decide, you know, assigned specifically to, like, just theft, so they won't have the feeling of, you know, trying to be torn between, you know, putting this case on the back burner, or, you know, I just feel like they should do that. But a lot of, you know, just working with a detective, that's been kind of interesting, you know, like I said before, you know, they didn't dust for prints or anything like that. You know, the guy that came, forensic scientist or whatever you want to call them, when they came, You know, that he came unprepared. I thought he was a detective when he came. You know, he didn't really, you know, say who he was. You know, that's the frustrating part. You know, like, who do you think we are? Like, I'm thinking he's a detective until he acts. You know, he went around looking at everything with a little flashlight. That's all he had, but that didn't tell me that that's who he was. I felt, for one, that he should have introduced himself as such, as whatever his title is. But we found out that he wasn't the detective when he asked. And then he was asking us questions about the case and all this kind of stuff. But then he was like, you know, has a detective reached out to you? And I'm like, no, I thought you were it, you know. And he was like, well, no. And he still didn't say who he was. So I was a little frustrated by that part. Like, he didn't even attempt to do anything. The only thing that we had at the home from this happening, that, I mean, John and I, like, went all through, like, looking for whatever we could find, because in our mind, we got to figure this out. The only thing we could find was an antenna in the driveway. And we knew it wasn't ours because I had just swept the leaves, a few leaves that were falling in the driveway out. I just like it clean prior to that happening. So that wasn't ours. We knew that wasn't ours. And we knew it wasn't ours, and we knew that it had to be, you know, it wasn't there before the breaking in. You know, so every officer that I told to, but whether it was detective, forensic scientist, whatever, they just disregarded it. You know, so we left it there. Like, I didn't want to bother it or whatever. So we're giving her the information about, you know, she's asking us, well, has anybody been in your house? Who's been in your house? I'm having to let her know who's been to the house. And she's like, you know, family is suspect. And I'm like, my family wouldn't do anything like this. Well, families are still suspects. You'd be surprised. I'm like, I understand that, but I know, you know, and I'm not gullible or anything, but I know my family is capable. The people that have been to our house is slim to none. Our circle is small. They would not do anything like that to us. So, you know, she was asking us all of that. We told her about the guys across the street who were working. It's the only thing out of the way, unfamiliar, new, since we've been there. I never felt unsafe, none of that. So I'm giving her their information, you know, and she called, apparently, the guys, but, you know, I'm having to call her, which I feel is unfortunate. I really wish that they will call and say, hey, we're still working on it, you know. So we talk, you know, and I'm a thinker. Sometimes it's not the best, but I am. Sometimes it gets the best of me, but I am. But I was just thinking, you know, John actually felt some type of way about the guys, and I may have mentioned that before, but, you know, she said she talked to him, and, you know, they run these people's names through pawn databases. And anybody would know, like, this day and age, a lot of people are trying to sell that stuff on the street. So just running their information through the database doesn't mean anything. Or what if it was somebody they knew? All this stuff is going on through my head. It may not have been them per se. It could have been somebody they knew. So she was like, you know, it's kind of a dead end. I can't just go, you know, no one saw them do anything, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then, you know, we started talking about, you know, I called her back and asked her, you know, about the footage from its gas stations entering the neighborhood, and asked her, you know, if she think that would be of any help. You know, I noticed that they had cameras, and you know, her response to me was, what do you think they're going to show? And in my mind, I'm like, someone leaving the neighborhood with our stuff. That's what I think it's going to show. So anyway, she never responded. So this past Friday, I needed assistance. I had to call the police to walk me in the house, because all of it was so fresh, you know, and I just didn't feel comfortable. And then apparently the power went out, and I heard this beeping noise in the house, which I thought were the doorstop alarms that John bought. So I had to get an officer to walk me in. Long story short, they checked the house, nothing, you know, no one was there or whatever, you know. And we were leaving to go get the kids. You know, I'm still wondering, you know, with all this stuff fresh on our minds, like it just won't go away. I'm wondering, like, you know, well, what what happened to Josh's shoes that I ordered? I ordered Joshua 2 pair of shoes from Hibbett on the 3rd. And I had been looking for them, checking the emails. Nothing said deliver. Once I go back to the email, they sent me the confirmation email. It just says, you know, the shipped email. So that Friday, the past Friday, I logged in and it allowed me to track each shoe individually. So as I tracked each shoe individually, I was able to see that the shoes were delivered at 11:03 the day of the break-in. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's unfortunate that they did that, but now we have like a time frame to go by, whereas before we didn't. So I'm thinking, okay, we got a time frame to go by. So I texted her or called. I think I texted her to let her know, you know, to put that in her mind as well, you know, so she'll have a time frame to go off of. And you know, she at that point called me and was like, well, where are these cameras you're talking about? So I told her, which gas station? So I told her, and she was like, well, you know, stuff just doesn't work like that, and I have to get this approved and all that kind of stuff. I understand, you know, I'm just throwing stuff out there to assist you with this process. That's all I'm doing. So, you know, she was like, well, I'll go by there tomorrow or something like, yeah, tomorrow and or Monday. I can't recall, and get the footage or whatever, or maybe this was another day, I don't know, but the conversation was the same. And get the footage and look through it, and you know, all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I appreciate it, thank you. Where did I go? I'm supposed to be on my way to get these children, to get the boys from the shop, and I done came all the way like I'm going to get Josh from school. But anyway, so I told her, you know, I appreciate it. So then, you know, days went by, I didn't hear anything. So I think that's Saturday. We had John's aunt's funeral, so we were in Mississippi. So just still thinking, you know, about stuff, haven't heard anything. So I started going back to the maintenance guy that had been at the house. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, he would have been somebody that would have parked in the driveway and no one would have thought anything of it, because he's been there before. He's been there before by himself in the home the Friday prior to the break-in. And whoever broke in the home knew what they wanted. Well, it seemed as if they knew what they wanted, and they had time. They knew they had time. You know, they knew they had time to get the things. Like nothing was really out of place, which was kind of weird. I don't know what that means, but just get off here. So, you know, and I'm like, if they saw him, you know, I just don't know. Those are the only 2 things I got to go off of, the guy and him. That's it. You know, if he was parked, nobody would have thought anything. He was bringing some stuff out, nobody probably would have thought anything, because they broke in the front door. It had to have taken the stuff out of the front door. I just don't understand. So I called her, you know, that evening when we got home from Mississippi, and, you know, told her what I thought was, and she was like, well, we can't just, you know, issue a warrant for, you know, well, she was saying, well, give me his information. And I'm like, I already gave you his information before. But anyway, she was like, we just can't issue out a warrant for someone, you know, we can't just do that. And I'm like, I understand, but this is, as stuff come to my head, I'm gonna let you know. That's what I'm gonna do. And she was like, oh, and I got the tape, and it's just too many cars that's going through that neighborhood at, you know, on that tape. I don't know if she said that she was looking at the time frame I gave her or what. So I'm like, really? Like, can I look at it? You know, like, I'm trying to close this out so that we can move on. Getting the stuff is, you know, not gonna make me move on. Replacing the stuff, knowing who did this is how I'm gonna, you know, move on. So I don't know. So that's what we are up to this point. You know, she was gonna look back into him or whatever, but as of today Today is the 19th of October. The last time I talked to her was this past Saturday. I haven't talked back to her. So, and then another thing, like going to get the police report, why in the world do you have to pay for a police report? It's not even the amount. I had to pay $5 and then like $1.25 for using my debit card. But I'm like, why do we have to pay? It's like the person that this happened to has to deal with the most stuff, like the most crap. Like we've had to deal with so much because somebody broke into our house. Like, why do we have to pay for a police report? Like, it should come free. But anyway, so that's just my grievance for today. I'm just praying that, you know, God got us in this claim. He got us in this case. And that we'll get, you know, he can have the victory in this. Because, you know, I've had people tell me to my face, y'all just need to move on. You're not going to find out who did this to you. And I'm like, yes, we will. By faith, we're gonna figure this out. God is going to work this out for us to figure this out. And until God tells me to leave it alone, I'm not going to leave it alone. I'm just not going to leave it alone. So that's my prayer today, is that God hear me once again, and that he takes care of this situation for us, and that we find peace in our home again, because peace is gone. It feels horrible. You know, it's getting better, but it just feels horrible to go home and look at where your stuff used to be. You just got a picture where your stuff used to be, you know? You just feel violated. Like, who would wake up and want to go rob somebody, break in somebody's home and steal their stuff? I just don't understand. But God.